Look, Joseph, first and foremost, it's just a pleasure to get to meet you in person. Thank you so much for making this time for us. I am representing the South African Film Festival. I was part of the film selection committee, and all the work that we do in the South African Film Festival goes towards Education Without Borders, which really works with at-risk and disadvantaged high school learners in South Africa, and just making sure that their education actually becomes a tool for them to achieve their dreams. So we try and bridge whatever gaps or whatever found issues are coming up as they are going through with their education. So that work for me is very close to my heart, because honestly, without my education, I wouldn't be here. And a little bit about me: born and bred in Eswatini, from a family where my mom is Zulu and I'm very close to my Zulu roots. It's one of the languages I speak well. And also my dad being Swazi and growing up in Eswatini, of course, I've got a good command of Siswati. And I am currently based in Canada as a product owner. I came here for my education and I'm starting to build a career for myself here. So your story of being an economic migrant from Zimbabwe to South Africa greatly resonated with me. But enough about me. I thought maybe for the audience, it would be great if you introduced yourself first with your role in the film, at least in the context of Blind Ambition, and then also tell them a little bit about a lot of work you've been doing since Blind Ambition and how you've transformed yourself. So over to you, Joseph.
Geez, thanks so much, man. I mean, yeah, look, I mean, from your introduction, well done on all of your achievements, I must say. I mean, you really managed to beat all the odds. I mean, and congratulations to that. My role in the Blind Ambition, the last time I was asked that question, I asked actually the interviewer, do you have enough wine to drink or enough water to drink? Because my story is very long, you know. So anyway, in Blind Ambition is about 4 guys who left Zimbabwe without knowing each other in their homeland. And they happened to be brought together through wine or because of wine, purely because I personally believe that wine is a language on its own. It's such an universal language, I must say, which brings people together, you know. Yeah, so these 4 guys really came together and were the first team to represent Zimbabwe in the World Blind Wine Tasting Championships in France. The first entry was in 2017. However, I had gone already to France with Team South Africa in 2015 when I was the 3rd best wine taster in South Africa. So when I founded Team Zim, I was the captain, and I'm still the captain of Team Zimbabwe. So it's really a very inspiring story, if I'm allowed to say that, in the sense that Zimbabwe is not really known when it comes to wine production, to be honest. And wine culture in Zim was there. I don't want to say it's not there, it doesn't exist. It does exist. It was there then, but then we just have to recultivate it. How? By educating the youth, which is something which you're actually very much involved in. And it was quite a gruesome journey, I must say, to actually venture into this when we were purely the pioneers of this 10 years ago. There were less Black people in the wine industry here in South Africa. So, but we were not intimidated at all. I mean, I remember very well when I went to Stellenbosch studying for my first certificate. I think we were 2 Black people out of like 50 in a classroom. You know? So I did not look back or got intimidated by that, because I personally believe that one has to see color in wine, not in people. You understand? I mean, the moment you see color in people, it's the moment you're trying to separate people because of the culture, beliefs, and race and all that stuff, it actually hurts. So then, I mean, that's how we got to have Team Zimbabwe. Yeah, so we went 2017, 2018, and we're going back again in about 2 weeks as Team Zimbabwe.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look, Joseph, you have touched on so many things that through my questions, I hope we'll dive deeper into. But for now, I want you to kind of join me a little bit as you kind of retrace your steps to this origin story, really, of moving from Zimbabwe to South Africa. look, you've now become a successful sommelier and businessman. Just could you tell us about how that journey fueled, or not so much fueled, but what type of influence has it had on your drive and your ambition for the life you've been building for yourself and your family in South Africa?
Well, it was such a roller coaster of a journey, I must say. I don't have to hide that. There was so many ups than really downs, than ups. Yeah, but then again, look, it's always good to look on the positive side most than the negative side. And all I can say is determination breeds success. I mean, I was determined. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew who I wanted to be. There were so many obstacles, but then you're gonna have to turn all those obstacles to success, to positive things. How? By being resilient. I mean, we Africans, we're known for this. We have actually overcome so many things in our entire life. I mean, I grew up in a rural area, literally, where I could walk to school barefoot for 15 kilometers to and back, both primary and secondary. So just being locked in a container for 2 hours really couldn't kill me. Of course, I was actually demoralized and all that stuff, but then again, my spirit was so high in the sense that I had to go for the second time, try again, or I tried again, then I actually began to come to South Africa, So when I got here, I did not look down upon myself or look back because I knew exactly what I wanted. So in contrary, determination breeds success. So you're gonna have to know what you want in life. Go for the goal. I'm not a bronze taker, I'm a gold taker.
I love that. And this kind of brings me back to this point. During your early days, a lot of our audience will know that South Africa has been, and especially during those days, was plagued with really heavy xenophobic violence against Zimbabwean immigrants. So I'm curious, how were you able to succeed in this tense atmosphere? How much of it do you think was due to your own hard work, your own resilience, versus that element of luck and really critical community support and champions coming to your cause?
Well, I think God was actually, God protected us as a group, and protected myself and my wife. I came with my wife, the then girlfriend. Look, xenophobia was very visible,
What do you mean by that? Visible?
Well, people could be, look, it was all over the show. I mean, people were killed. No, everyone knows that. It was just not for social media to see. It was actually very, very visible. And I mean, it had its casualties, so people died, people got injured, people got people lost their jobs, people lost their families, a lot of things happened. But I personally, for one, have never actually come across, I would say, firsthand to that experience. I did not face that. However, I was mugged in Joburg so many times that I can actually attest, because that really happened. I mean, I got my coins taken, got my jacket taken in front of my wife and all that stuff. I mean, so stuff like that you do get, there are always lights in town, to be honest. This happens everywhere. This happens in Zim, South Africa, Canada, everywhere. I mean, you always have these bad apples, but then we cannot judge the whole country purely because of these 2, 3, 4 people. You know what I mean? Xenophobia in South Africa became a national thing purely because I would say, kind of really stretched its wings or roots to different parts of the country, from Johannesburg, Durban, Cape Town, major cities. So that's how it got to be very, very visible and really known in certain parts of the world. So yes, it was there. It was really there.
Now, I'm curious, as your star began to rise, earlier you just spoke about how you knew who you wanted to be. So as you started making those roads towards that goal in South Africa, how did you balance that pride of this is the person, this is the man I want to be, versus the pride in your homeland, in your culture? Because sometimes those can feel at odds. And I'm just curious how you struck that balance, that you were making it in another country and you were still very proud of the country where you came from.
Look, you can't carry any pride when you're coming from a state where there's no food in those shelves. I'm not attacking my own country, but there was nothing on the shelves that time. I mean, the money which you could earn could literally be able to buy probably a bread, like a loaf of bread or something like that. However,
this is your monthly income.
Yes. However, there is no place like home, I must say. I mean, I'm Zimbabwean, reside in South Africa, but I would die Zimbabwean. You know what I mean? So, I cannot really be in a position of throwing my identity in the ocean purely because of some hardships or what do you call whatever is happening back home, like all the trials and tribulations that happen back home. I cannot really say that Zimbabwe is a bad country at all. It's not. It's not really a bad country. I mean, we really try our level best to make sure that the country is actually back on track. How? By making sure that winepreneurs, entrepreneurs, all these other youngsters can actually be able to play a pivotal role in our own economy. I mean, I'm known in South Africa, that's a given, you know, and I'm paying tax here. I've got my company here. I do literally almost everything in South Africa. But at the same time, I've got my wines back home. I mean, I'm trying to make sure that I might be in a position to either have a vineyard or something to make sure that at some stage it will sink in their minds that with wine we can do something and it can actually bring people together apart from just bringing foreign currency.
I love that. I love that. You are climbing this tall mountain and you're just playing down all the stacks, you know, laying down the steps towards hitting that summit over time and not rushing the process. The other thing you touched on in your introduction was the Eurocentric nature of viticulture. So historically, all vineyard owners, sommeliers, and wine distributors have been white. I'm curious how you guys navigated this Eurocentric environment and what were some of the most apparent challenges that you had to overcome in making a name for yourselves?
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, I see color in wine, but then in your question, I can actually say this: Jancis Robinson, who is someone I idolize the most, and she's really well known worldwide. She's one of the best wine judges in the world, and possibly the best female wine judge in the world. And I'm very close to her. She once said, "Wine world is too white, war to war." You know what I mean? Which actually make me go back to your question in the sense that the gooseberries, asparagus, you know, all those cranberries, Christmas cake, whatever it is, Christmas, whatever, all those things, they're very Eurocentric. I mean, we don't have gooseberries in Africa. In Cape Town, yes, they have Cape gooseberries, but when I grew up in Zimbabwe, in the like deep rural area of Chirumanzu, there wasn't any gooseberries. There wasn't any of this what they call capsicum, which is green bell pepper, asparagus, all the there was nothing. Not even sea bass, which I'm actually eating here or pairing with the wine. There was nothing. There was kariba, tilapia brim, if you're lucky, only if you can afford. You know, so we are working on a minor scale in the sense that we're going to have to firstly know the fruits which are being grown and consumed overseas. You know what I mean? In a way that we can actually relate with what we have down here so that we can actually please them, which is good. But I came up with the concept that I have to mention the fruits which I grew up eating. I mean, if they don't know those fruits, they have to ask them. That's exactly the same thing I did with the gooseberries. I had to ask them, what are gooseberries? What are kumquats? What is asparagus? What's shimiji mushroom? We don't have that. We do not have that in Zimbabwe at all. Or if we do, it's only for the elite group. You understand? So I personally think that we as Africans should come up with some wine vocabularies which can actually bring us together with our own culture. And that wheel of aromas should be accepted in the whole world. The way we accepted the other one, it has to be done.
Right, the Eurocentric one.
When, I don't know how, I don't know, but I really wish that that can be done.
Well, Joseph, I'll leave it to you to get that new palette, like African-centric palette of just like the different tastes that we all get from these different grapes. I mean, because I, having lived in East Africa myself, I really enjoyed the way Nairobians in particular would describe wines. Like, it was just a very different way, something I hadn't come across living in Southern Africa, right? And I thought there was a lot to that. And I thought, yeah, why can we not formalize some of the standards of how these different endemic fruits and flavors that exist in each region, and kind of put together something that speaks to an African palate of how we understand wine taste. Look, we're already touching on this, but from your lived experience, what have been the advantages of building a more inclusive and more diverse wine industry?
Well, look, I mean, we all know that a team brings better results than working in singles, right? I mean, diversity brought a lot of things in different dimensions. I mean, there are some certain fruits which we managed to actually tell the other group. Hence, we learned a lot from them. Diversity is key. This world is actually made of different blocks, so we can't focus on one block. We do really have to cater for everyone. And Africa in general is full of Africans. I mean, black, white, colored. We all Africans, and the fruits which you all grew up eating, seeing, and touching are African fruits. We cannot run away from that, you know. So we're gonna have to make sure that we look after Africans. I mean, we know that Africa is not really known when it comes when it comes to wine growing, wine production. South Africa is the best. Yes, we know that. There's Morocco, there's Egypt, a bit of Zimbabwe, Namibia was there, Kenya, yes. But again, we can't turn a blind eye to all these these countries in Africa. You know, they also needs a bit of attention. And we as Africans have to come together and make sure that our voice is heard. How? We're gonna have to make sure that we visit all these wine growing regions. I was in Nairobi recently, was in Namibia recently as well. And I'm going overseas in about 2 weeks. So I always try my best to make sure that Africa has got a bit of attention. I influenced Kenya to have their very first blind wine tasting championship team, which is full of ladies. 5 ladies are going next month to the World Cup for the first time. So for the first time, we're going to have 3 countries from Africa going to the World Cup. And we're praying that we'll bring that cup back. Where it's going,
is so exciting.
I don't care where it's going. If it's coming to South Africa, I'll let. If it's going to Zimbabwe, I'll clap hands. If it's going to Kenya, I'll nod my head.
Fantastic. I love that. Not only have you been a champion just for Zimbabwe, but you using your platform to bring in even more people. And I love that this Kenyan team happens to be majority female. Look, you've already been touching on these trips and these initiatives that you've been doing as a business person. So I want to focus a little bit into that role in your role as the founder of Mostly Wines and Spirits. Just walk us through the journey of where Blind Ambition ends and where you are now growing this very successful brand.
Well, Blind Ambition is quite infinity, as good as Mostly Wines. I don't know, it's not gonna end. It's not gonna end because people will still watch it and it will inspire so many people. That's my goal, really, because the guys managed to get the marrow of the story, which is the content of the story, really to put out there. It's very engaging. For those who are very emotional, you're gonna have to make sure that you go with a couple of tissue papers to wipe your face. For those who are really looking forward to be inspired, they'll get a fair share of that. Mostly Wines and Spirits is a brand which was actually founded in 2014, purely from money which I earned as a gardener and as a barman waiter. Now that time, there were only 2 barrels which were made, one Chenin Blanc barrel, one Syrah barrel. Now we're making over 15,000 bottles, 7-8 years down the line. So it's no longer a hobby, I must say. I mean, it's now serious business. I mean, we're getting there slowly. We're not rushing it. We're not pushing it. We're not about the volumes. It's all about the quality than the quantity for me.
All right, on behalf of the Canadian audience that I represent, I have to ask, are you any plans of expanding into some provinces in Canada? maybe I'll be a little greedy here, British Columbia.
Of course, yes. I mean, we don't have borders or boundaries. I mean, we already in the US. I mean, we are about in 5-6 states: Arkansas, New Orleans, Mississippi, Georgia, Miami, South Carolina, and the like. I mean, so we're looking forward to get into New York, and obviously we're gonna come to Canada. If I get, or if you happen to get someone who's interested in importing Mzwa wines, please hit me up. I mean, I'll be there like a bear, and yeah, and I like some of your wines actually from Niagara Peninsula.
Yeah, there's also like the Okanagan Valley here in British Columbia that they make really good wines. Yeah. Well, in wrapping this up, I would just like to hear what are your biggest hopes for the future of African sommeliers amongst the Zimbabwean diaspora and back at home?
I would like to say to most of these African sommeliers and upcoming African sommeliers, I mean, there is no goal which is too hard. If I manage to do that in 10 years, why can't you do that in 5 years? You know, I came from a very clean slate whereby there were few or next to none Black sommeliers then, but there was help with those who were there before me. Now they have me and other sommeliers to ask and text through like WhatsApp or text message, whatever it is. The journey should be quicker. You know, I mean, my son did his first certificate of wine ambassador course, and I gave him a challenge that at 25, I want him the best sommelier of Africa. And there's nothing which can stop him to do that. You know what I mean? Because I'm there, my friends are there, and he can actually do better than what I did. Because when I ventured into this industry, it was such a hard rock to penetrate in. It was so difficult. So now it's so easy. There are so many challenges, so many things really to do, or most of the difficult aspects were unlocked. So it's easy to just open the doors and go forward. So African child, there's no goal which is too high. You can be who you want to be at any given time if you are determined. You know, like determination breeds success, and put on more hours and more hours. That's my, like, really, you're gonna have to make sure that you put more hours. I don't go to bed if I don't clock more than 16 hours a day productive. So you can't expect to be rich, or you can't expect to be wealthy, or somebody in the society which can change the way or the dialect of the society by working 2 hours and love your bed more than what you put. It's difficult. You can't do that.
I love that.
It's all hard work.
There's no shortcut to hard work. Joseph, I will wrap this up. Look, one of the things that really spoke to me, just something that has lingered in my heart. I've watched Blind Ambition twice now, and we'll definitely watch it multiple times. I think this particular story is so touching because it involves people coming together across racial, ethnic, political, geographical boundaries, and just being human for each other, and the things we can achieve and the doors we can unlock, and the new insights we can bring in through those collaborations. I think that really, for me, was part of the heart of Blind Ambition. So I hope you continue to be fiercely proud of the movie, the documentary, this autobiography of sorts about your lives and the lives of the 3 other gentlemen. But for our Canadian audience, we'll be having our opening night in Vancouver on the 3rd of November in 2022. Look, Joseph, thank you so much. Yeah, and hopefully I'll see you in Canada at some point. Let me know. I would love to walk around. Can you imagine we go down to Kelowna here in BC and enjoy wines, and with your eye, I think it would be fantastic.
No, indeed, bro. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to visit you in Canada. Definitely. I mean, you'll be the first person I'll actually hit up or look up to if I come to Canada. And like, I mean, look, I will possibly rest at peace if we manage to have more African countries which goes to the World Cup, if we manage to have masters of wines from Africa, more of them. I mean, I know there are just under 300 of them in the whole world, and we have literally less than 5 in Africa. So we need more of them. We need master sommeliers. We have 1 master sommelier from Africa. We have masters of wine, like literally less than 5 from Africa. So we need more of them. I'm not saying I'm going to be one of them. I mean, I would rather actually manage to inspire the youth to be master sommeliers, even if I'm not one of them, in different ways. But looking forward to seeing you soon, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you.